In this devotional, I'm going to share with you 3 thoughts from Deuteronomy chapter 9, verses 4 and 5, where I'll answer the question, why did God give Israel the promised land? Deuteronomy chapter 9, verses 4 and 5 says, "Do not say in your heart, after the Lord your God has thrust them out before you, it is because of my righteousness that the Lord has brought me in to possess this land. Whereas it is because of the wickedness of these nations that the Lord is driving them out before you. Not because of your righteousness or the uprightness of your heart are you going in to possess their land, but because of the wickedness of these nations the Lord your God is driving them out from before you, and that he may confirm the word that the Lord swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob." As Moses is preparing the people of Israel to enter into the promised land after these 40 years of wandering through the wilderness, he is restating the law to the people of Israel. Here are 3 thoughts from Deuteronomy chapter 9, verses 4 and 5, answering the question, why did God give Israel the promised land? Thought number 1, not their righteousness. And this is probably pretty important for them to see and embrace. It is not because they had done something good that the Lord is bringing them into the promised land. It isn't as if the people of Israel had ever been particularly pious or faithful or devout or trusting in the Lord their God. That just isn't the case. And as you read through the Bible with me, what you're going to see again and again and again, that the people of Israel are not good at faithfulness. They are constantly chasing after other gods, engaging in false worship, or defying the Lord to his face. So, as Moses explains to the people of Israel why the Lord is doing this, he is quick to point out that it is not because Israel had done anything particularly good to merit their being given the promised land. So it is not because of their righteousness. Thought number 2, punish the nations. The Lord is going to drive out the nations from the promised land. All these different people groups, he's going to drive them out because they were wicked. He is punishing the nations who live in the land. So when the people of Israel are sitting around and asking themselves, why is it that the Lord is giving them this land? Moses provides them with the answer. It is because these people were wicked. All the Canaanites who are there in the land are being punished by God for defying him, for engaging in false worship, for having all of these different other gods instead of worshiping him, the sole creator of all the universe. It's because of their wickedness, because of their idolatry, because of their lack of faithfulness, because they didn't do that which we all intrinsically know is right, that the Lord is going to spew them out from the land. If you remember the great promise that God made to Abraham, he tells him that it will be hundreds of years before the people of Israel will go into the land of promise. And the reason for that is because the sins of the Amorites was not yet complete. But here it is, hundreds of years later, and that sin can no longer be tolerated by God. So he will punish those nations by driving them out before the people of Israel. Thought number 3, fulfill his promise. The reason the people of Israel are being brought into the promised land, the reason why it's called the promised land, is because this is the land that the Lord had promised to give to the descendants of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. This is the land that the patriarchs had sojourned or wandered in. This is the land that they had never owned, but they had lived in, and that the Lord promised would ultimately be theirs. So as the people of Israel are preparing themselves to go into this great land, into this land that the Lord had promised to their forefathers so very long ago, they are being told that the reason they are going in there is so that they would see that the Lord fulfills his promises. It might not be exactly when you want. It might not be on a timeline that we would prefer, but the Lord accomplishes precisely what he means to. He fulfills his promises, and he brings everything that he plans to come about at just the right time. These three thoughts come from the assigned reading of Deuteronomy chapters 7 through 9. If you'd like to read through the Bible with me, you can do so by joining the Facebook group Through the Bible, where we are reading the text of Scripture together.